You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps cause they know what happens next. So without further ado, free smoke. Look, scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver, pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience.
Boy, let's have a conversation. I never know how I'm gonna start these shits off, man. I never know how I'm gonna start these shits off. I know one day when we bigger, it's gonna have like a countdown and a lot of shit to start to show off. But I never know what's the first topic I'm gonna get into. I mean, I imagine once we a bigger show and once we big, we syndicated, we got deals and shit, I'm gonna start the show off like welcome to Kicking It with saying, you know what I'm saying, shit like that. But I never really know how I'm gonna start the show off. But it's interesting because I figure it out almost instantly when we start rolling. So one of the things, like just for me personally, I was looking at Draymond talk to DeMar DeRozan about how DeMar and LeBron played in the Drew League and how that was like so inspirational for a lot of kids because they'll never be able to afford a ticket, or their parents will never be able to afford a ticket during the time span of DeMar and LeBron playing to go see either of those two play. So to be able to, especially going to see LeBron play in LA, so to be able to see LeBron James, one of your heroes, one of the dudes you look up to, one of the greatest players of all time, play in a Drew League game, that's huge. And I was thinking about that because I was like, bro, I used to tell myself all the time, bro, I'm going to get big, I'm going to get famous one day, I'm going to have money, and I'm going to be able to go see Kobe play. I was like, it don't matter what I do, I'm going to be able to go see Kobe play. And then Kobe retired, and I was like, it don't matter, I'm going to be big and famous one day, and I'm going to be able to have a conversation with Kobe. I'm going to be able to sit down and talk to Kobe one day. And then that news broke. And it wasn't even until a couple days ago when I actually revisited that thought, because it just still don't really feel real, you know what I'm saying? And so I revisited that thought and was like, damn, I always thought that one day I would be able to interview Kobe Bryant, one of my idols. And now I feel the same way about Curry. Like, man, I want to blow up one day so I can interview Curry, so I can sit down and talk to a dude that's brought so much joy into not just my life, my mom's life. Like, this dude is my mom's favorite athlete. I've never seen my mom so happy about, like, sports. And my mom loves sports. But the one thing that will put a smile on her face is seeing Steph Curry have some type of success. She absolutely loves Steph Curry. And I done said this before, I believe. My mom's the one who put me on Steph. Like, she saw Steph play in high school, I guess. She saw films of him playing in high school. Because my mom watched college. Like, my mom would sit down and watch high school basketball and shit like that. And I guess she sat down and she was watching Curry at one point in time. And so when he got to Davidson, she watched him at Davidson too. And I don't watch college basketball. Like, I wasn't watching college basketball. Well, I was, but I was watching UNC. And my mom, one day, I came into her room and she was watching Curry. And I'm looking at this little motherfucker go off. And I'm like, who is that? And she was like, Steph Curry. And from that day forward, I've been a fan. I saw how much joy he brought her. And I was like, damn, that's my guy. And so I've been a Steph Curry fan ever since then. And so I hope one day I get the opportunity to sit down and talk to Steph. Hell, maybe one day I can sit down and watch him play before it's all said and done. But shoot for your dreams, kids. Shoot for your dreams and shoot for them shits hard. Like, go all out to accomplish those shits, bro. Because you just never know. You never know. You might think you got all the time in the world to do something, and maybe you do. But then again, maybe you don't. So just fucking go as hard as you possibly can. I don't know if I had went any harder, done a little bit of this right, that differently, if I had made it, if I would have been able to make it to Kobe. I don't know. I don't know if that was ever in my cards. But I certainly do enjoy the impact he left on my life, even though I never got to meet him. But with that being said, I didn't want to start off on a somber, sad tone because I know all the Kobe fans out there are going to be feeling that one. But we got to talk about the fucking Arizona Cardinals, man. I mean, my God. We got to talk about the Cardinals. So I did the Lamar video, and I'm really not even done with that. I really could have done a part 2. I didn't even go in as deep as I wanted to on that topic. But I mentioned about how the Arizona Cardinals put a stipulation in Kyler Murray's contract about, what was it? He had to do like 4 hours of study a week, a film study a week. And, you know, I guess it's gotten blown all out of proportion at this point. Like, I watched this bozo Rob Parker say, they put it in there to embarrass you. Like, I done seen everything under the sun be said about this little stipulation in the contract. I didn't have a problem with the stipulation in the contract, to be honest with you. The stipulation wouldn't be there if they didn't feel like it needed to be there. They wouldn't have just put that stipulation in the contract if they felt like Kyler Murray was doing everything possible to get better. They didn't just randomly throw that in there. Now, I'm not saying that an NFL team wouldn't do something like that, but I just think it'd be very stupid for an NFL team to sign a guy for that much money that's supposedly your franchise, the face of your franchise, and you would put something like this in his contract to intentionally embarrass him. I don't believe that to be the case. I think if you watch Kyler Murray play, it's very clear why they put that stipulation in his contract over his last couple years. Now, I don't think Kyler should have been embarrassed by it. I agree with the people who said Kyler should be embarrassed by this. Yeah, he should be, because to have a stipulation like that in your contract is very telling, especially when it come out. So I agree, Kyler should have been embarrassed by it. However, if Kyler would not have been, it's one thing to be embarrassed by it because you actually don't watch film and do everything that's necessary for you to become as great as possible. It's another thing for you to be embarrassed by it because you feel like, bro, why, like, I do all that, so why is that in it? But, and to that point, I would say, I've never seen a franchise mistake their franchise guy for, like, doing less than he actually did. Like, if a franchise think that their quarterback doing everything possible to be great, why would they have ever put that into your contract? On top of that, why would you sign the contract? Now, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, ultimately, I didn't care about them putting that in the contract. It's funny because I did a thing about how I hated homework so much a couple weeks ago, but I didn't have a problem with that, the Cardinals putting that in the contract. I didn't have a problem with Kyler Murray signing the contract and shit. Now, Kyler Murray came out today and did an interview where basically he was saying like it's an embarrassment or disrespectful for that to be in the contract, and you know, I don't get to where I'm at and have it. He named all the successes he done had and shit like that. And I mean, that's cool, my guy, but I don't know why you called a press conference to talk to the media about it. I mean, maybe you just tired of hearing people talk about you this offseason. But I don't know why you called a press conference for this topic specifically, because, I mean, if you was doing what you needed to be doing, I just don't think they would have put that in your contract. On top of that, you wouldn't give a fuck about addressing that to the media. Like, coming out saying, I'm not going to let my character be like this or whatever the fuck. Like, bruh, nobody, Peyton Manning's not coming. And I hate to use a white quarterback, right? So let me just use great black quarterbacks who go out there and do their shit. Mahomes. Lamar. Like, those are two guys who I can name other ones, Steve McNair. It was African American quarterbacks who that would never be in their contracts. Okay? Now I understand back in the day it could have been but not now. Not in today's NFL, in this society that we've been living in the NFL for a couple years. That's not going into just anybody's contract. You know what I'm saying? You're never gonna see that. Fuck it, I gotta use white people, bro. You're not gonna see that in Brady. I hate using Brady. I'm not gonna use Brady because that's like the highest of highs. But you're not gonna see that in most of the great quarterbacks' contracts. You're just not. That's not gonna be something that they question. Is he doing as much as he possibly can to make this team and himself great and to get us to the Super Bowl? That's just not something that's gonna be in question. And you heard people not speak as highly of Kyler's leadership and things of that nature. Now, I'm not on here to down Kyler. You know me, man. Pro player show. But this is one of them instances where I wasn't really mad about that. Now, his interview, where his press conference, whatever you want to call it, where he come out and talk about it, I didn't really understand that either, because I'm like, I guess it was just to save face. But the interview doesn't even matter, because a couple minutes ago, a report came through that the Cardinals have taken that out of his contract. And now, I just got done saying how I didn't think that these dudes was moving funny. Just like I didn't think Brooklyn was moving funny. This is exactly why people call this a bad franchise. Bro, why would you go through the hell to put this in the contract if you was just going to take it out as soon as social media pressure mounted up? Not to mention, I get why they see it. Listen, sometimes when you do something that's might not be as favorable to the person that you operating with. So let's say you in a relationship, or you in a business relationship, or anything like that, and you might do something or put down some type of law, or you might take a stance on something that might not be as favorable to that person that you're working with in a relationship with, or something like that, and you put your foot down on it. Let's say let's use a relationship. Matter of fact, that's an easy example. Sometimes you might get into an argument, right? And you put your foot down on something, on how you feel, right? And instead of, you might say some nasty shit or something like that, and instead of coming back around quickly and apologizing and trying to work shit out, you just let that shit simmer and play the way it play. And I'm an expert at this because I used to be the same way. So, you know, you say some ignorant shit to somebody, and listen, I'm at the point in my life now where I'm open about my relationships and things of that nature. Because, you know, I listen to people who tell these stories about how they've been in love so many different times. I've only been in love one time in my lifetime. Like, I've never experienced being in love multiple times. Now, I'm not saying somebody can't be in love that many times. I just think y'all living crazy lives out here that have been in love 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. I think that's pretty wild. But I've been in love once. The woman who I was in love with, I am not with. Because I was much like that I just explained. I say some ignorant shit, do some ignorant shit, and instead of immediately, you know, apologizing or trying to fix the situation, my ego was like, nah, fuck that, we'll let it play the way, however we let it play. And because my ego and my pride got to that point and I never was able to mature, because women do mature faster than men. I've been told that my entire life. I actually believe that. Because now, while I've started maturing now in my late 20s, she's married. Well, she's not married, but she is with somebody in hopes of being married with 3 kids. And so that's how shit turn out when you play that game that way. But this ain't that type of situation. You see, I understand having to go back and, you know, save face and, you know, just recorrecting your wrong, because in the end, that's the most important thing to do. That's going to get you through it rather than just walking off acting like children. Not in this situation. Not in this one. This is a situation where you can put your foot down and stand on that. Like Draymond say, stand on that. You put this in his contract for a reason. I understand that your intentions were not. I understand that, because I don't think they put it in his contract for him to be embarrassed. Because I think that's why they took it out of his contract. Because that's our guy. That's our franchise guy. We don't want people thinking that this dude don't work hard, blah, blah, blah. So I get why they took it out. But you are enabling somebody who has already shown you that he is not the greatest of leaderships and lacks leadership. And you know, what really made me have a switch with this actually is a couple years ago, is the Antonio Brown thing. People kept talking about, like, if you really listen, so many people who had played with Antonio Brown, had been around him, was like, man, this dude is not like what y'all think he is. Like, he's spoiled, he got a problem, blah, blah, blah. This is before people just started yelling CTE left and right. And I never believed it, because I was just so caught up in how good he was. I'm like, there's no way Tomlin would have said something, somebody would. But people really wasn't trying to embarrass the man. He was on a team. Their goal was to win. And they might not have liked him personally. And he wasn't a leader or none of that stuff. But like, Ryan Clark is a great example of, I told y'all this motherfuckers was like this. So when Antonio Brown's situation basically kind of really opened my eyes even wider to, like, bro, some of these players really can be held in these locker rooms and we could never fucking know. Who knows how Kyler Murray is in that locker room? All we know is that things have been said about him, taking shots at his leadership, criticizing his leadership. That's a better sentence. There have been people who have criticized this man's leadership constantly. I don't care that you gave him a contract. Some people be like, oh, you can't enable him by giving him that type of contract. They had no choice. What you did have a choice in was putting that stipulation in his contract. You know you have a child that does not work hard. Do not lighten the stipulations of trying to get your child to learn how to work harder because of a different parent don't agree with how you doing. If you ain't abusing that child or doing nothing out of the ordinary that's just absolutely wild, do what you feel like you need to do to help grow your child's work ethic. Just because another parent don't think that you should be doing it or they wouldn't do it like that, that don't mean shit. This is a perfect example of this Kyler Murray Cardinals situation. Cardinals, you felt like this man needed this in his contract. You didn't just put this shit in his contract just to put it in there. You sat down and wrote this contract out. You had all these months to go over this with this man. He sat down and signed his contract for a reason. See, Kyler Murray, I think, did the interview because he felt embarrassed. I don't think Kyler Murray actually is a dude who's saying, like, you feeding me all these past accomplishments don't mean shit to me, my boy. I'm happy for you, but this the NFL. This a whole new animal. Everybody in the NFL got accomplishments before they got here. Everybody in the NFL damn near was a superstar on their college campuses and on their high school grounds. Everybody in here was a stud in Pee Wee and Pop Warner. Like, I don't care about your past accomplishments, my guy. I care about what's been going on since you've been in the NFL. And you could have those lazy work ethics when you was at another league, and especially in college. Like, I don't care about your college success, bro. I'm one of the few people who will ever tell you who love football, who will tell you straight up, I hate college football, could care less about too many of the accomplishments people have in college football. That's just me, because I don't think college football is football at a certain level. Some of these divisions and classes, schools do play legitimate football. A lot of these other ones do not. But that's neither here nor there. But we don't care about your past accomplishments, my boy. We care about your accomplishments since you've been in the NFL. And since you've been in the NFL, you done had weapons, you done had a defense, you done had things. And from what we can see, from what I can deduce, yeah, maybe a lack of preparation is the reason as to why this team ain't so great. We like to put the blame on the head coach. We like to put the blame on the front office. Put the blame on DeAndre Hopkins, I done seen people do lately. But I mean, come on, man. Everybody can't be wrong when they saying this stuff about Kyler. And to take that out of his contract, I mean, come on, man. They posted a tweet tonight that was like a Kyler Murray tweet with him on the game, and the post was, hey, get on the game, boys. I ain't got homework no more. Yeah, that's exactly what you did. You let the media, Kyler, and this barrage of Twitter craziness make you take that out of his contract. Something that you felt like needed to be in the contract in the first place, so you would have never put it in the contract in the first place. So I'm really confused as to why. Like, to me, see, when people say that the Nets have handled these situations wrong over the past couple years, I will argue that, because I don't think they've handled these situations wrong. They handled them wrong to you because you just are improperly diagnosing this situation, not realizing if you was in this situation, you do the exact same thing that the Nets have done. This is a different situation, because while I would have given Kyler, hell, they didn't even give him a fully maxed contract. Only, 150 or 160 of it was guaranteed. Now, Deshaun's contract is an outlier, even though I don't think his contract should be an outlier. I think Lamar should have been the person who signed a contract like that, or Josh Allen, or Pat Mahomes. I don't think Deshaun Watson should have been the dude who signed that contract, not just because of his off-the-field issues, but because his on-the-field lack of success. I can't give a quarterback that type of money just because he can throw a ball down the field real nice with a spiral. You got to be able to contribute to winning. Deshaun's win-loss record is just barely over 500 by like 1 or 2 games. I done seen Deshaun play. I love Deshaun. People love to hold a bunch. The last time we seen Deshaun play, he was throwing for a bunch of yards. Yeah, because they was getting their asses smacked in a lot of them games. Because as good as Deshaun is at throwing the ball around, he don't truly contribute to winning at the level of a Lamar, a Pat Mahomes, a Josh Allen. Because those teams don't have to have everything go right. The Chiefs' defense is not going to be fooled for a Baltimore defense. The Baltimore offensive weapons won't be fooled for those weapons Matt Ryan got to play with the majority of his career. And yet and still, those two men, Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, contribute to their franchise and their team winning. Josh Allen ain't always had the greatest weaponry around him and the greatest, well, his defense done been good for some time. But he ain't had the perfect situation every year. He still contributes to winning. I don't understand how Deshaun Watson got that contract. But then again, you can say teams were bidding on him and things of that nature. Still don't think that the Cleveland Browns had to offer that type of contract. But that is neither here nor there. I'm happy he got his money. I'm just strongly against paying somebody that type of money with the things that's going on with Deshaun right now, and with the fact that he ain't touched the football field and now about to go on 2 years. I have a big problem with that. There's got to be some things that I'm assured of first before I can give a dude that type of money. I don't give a damn if his last time on the field he did throw for a lot of yards. And when we speak about his last time on the field, I'm going to speak about the success he done had up to that point also. And that ain't a success of somebody who I should be paying that much money to. I would have gave that contract to an Andrew fucking Luck. Andrew ain't been in the league for a while, so people forget that motherfucker hit the ground running. It wasn't until his body gave up on him to where he was no longer the player that he was. Andrew Luck was a difference maker. He contributed to winning at a higher level than a Deshaun Watson. So these Jay Cutler threw the ball as great as anybody. He didn't contribute to winning on the level of some of the other players in the league at the time. So I wouldn't have gave Deshaun that contract for a multitude of reasons, but nonetheless, I would have given Kyler the contract he got. I have no problem with Kyler getting the contract he got. Would I have given him Deshaun's contract? Absolutely not. He has not earned. He ain't got the off the field issues. He got the leadership issues, which I feel like, yeah, we can fix. But I am a little more cautious on that now because I know and I understand how important the leader of my team is to this team. You can have a Ray Lewis, a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, a Lamar Jackson, a Pat Mahomes. Or you can have a Kyler Murray, a Jay Cutler. And I'm not going to go down the list of all the other bad leaders, but we just talking about Kyler, and I just mentioned Jay, so that make a difference. So I would be a little bit, cautious of that, and I would be continuously working with Kyler. Because I don't think Kyler have a leadership problem because Kyler just a bad person or some shit like that. Kyler is young. The man loved playing video games. He is still very much a kid, a young man who he very talented at something and got a lot of money, generational wealth at an early age. That's fine. I'm happy about that. I love that. But you can't act like just because he got this money this quick that's automatically going to solve his maturity issues. It's okay that he got maturity issues. It's a bad problem if he got maturity issues when he hit his 30s or 3 years from now. Because, yeah, being quarterback of a franchise should help you mature a little bit more. But, I mean, putting the money in his hand. I hate it when people like, you get this kid all this money and that don't do nothing for him. Bro, fuck you. You give other people money all the time and we don't have these same conversations, bro. Giving Kyler Murray this type of money did nothing. Like, bruh, to not want to pay an athlete because you think they have some type of maturity issues or something like that. If they ain't doing the bullshit that Antonio Brown did, then, bruh, that shit can be... It's different if you telling me a 30-something-year-old player is still dealing with maturity issues. That's different. Kyler Murray is not even, 28 yet. He not even 26, I don't think. Kyler Murray, he is 26 because Lamar about to turn 25 and he older than Lamar, I think. Either way, this dude still is very much... He younger than me. I'm 28. He younger than me. So, I have no problem with Kyler's maturity issues. Those things can be fixed over time as he gets older. I know some people will look at it and be like, oh, no, he got this money. He just going to be a snobby. I hate it when people say that, bro. And I also be seeing people all the time get mad at any time a player have any type of confidence in himself. It's like people tripping on Russell Wilson walking around in his own jersey. Like, I done seen dudes walk around with their own jerseys on all the time. What are we doing, bro? Y'all mad because he didn't want to dick ride somebody else or pay homage to somebody else and put their jerseys on? Y'all got so little confidence in y'allself that y'all really call this man Russ corny for wearing a jersey with his own name on it. That's nuts. That's nuts. That man wearing a jersey with his own name on it and didn't even have to put a custom name on it, man. That's how the shit come, with his name on it. Like, that's fire, bro. That man Russ is a winner, cuz. Dead ass. That man is a winner. But when Kyler Murray should have got the contract. He should have got his money. What did not have to happen was taking that claw out of his contract. I would have kept that claw in his contract. I wouldn't have took that out. I would have and listen, I'm not even mad if you take it out down the line. What I can't do is take it out a week or 2 weeks after I sign the contract. I can't do it. You just signed the contract, bruh. This backlash is not... How did you not have this thought out before you put that in the contract? Now, maybe you didn't think that this part of the contract was really going to get this much heat or traction. But you know how social media is nowadays, bro. You got to have people on your team looking this type of shit over. You should have known everything that could have came from this and been prepared for this. Really, you shouldn't even give a fuck about this. It's like people tell athletes all the time, stay off of social media. Okay, well, these motherfuckers... But I get it. You don't even have to be on social media for this shit to come to your front desk. I get that. However, you got to put your foot down at some point in time. What you just did by taking that out of his contract immediately, even if it's because you didn't want your quarterback to look bad, which you should have already thought about, now you really give Kyler the freeway. If Kyler was a bad leader before and lacked maturity before, this was not the way to ensure that he grows in those areas. This was terrible. You can't immediately say, you know what? This is like those parents that like want to punish you. You can't have this. That you make a little sad face. You know what? You can't have. Like, no. If I'm trying to teach you a lesson, I got to be stern in the lesson that I'm trying to teach you. Just because you cute and you talk to me nice, or you my child and you make a sad face, or you my significant. No, if I'm trying to make a legitimate point that's going to better you and better us and better, somebody else around you in the future, then I got to stand back and make that point. That could have came out of his contract a year into the contract. You could have took it out after a couple months. You could have won a couple games and took that out of the contract and said, we have faith that this no longer needs to be in the contract. But taking it out before the man even fucking played one game of the new contract? Come on. You can't have that. You cannot lack a backbone that bad. Like, that's terrible. I mean, let's just call it what it is. That's terrible. And so, for those people out there yelling that the Cardinals are a bad organization, the Cardinals are a terrible organization, you know what, man? Damn it, you might be right. But I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode, a quick one, of Kicking It with Saint. Just wanted to talk about the Kyler Murray contract and these Arizona Cardinals, man. Very interesting move by the Arizona Cardinals to put that bad boy in the chamber and take it right out. But, hey, do what's best for your franchise. I don't necessarily agree with that move, but I hadn't had a problem with any of the other moves, they had made up until this point. But, they're going to do what they have to do. I ain't too mad about it, because at the end of the day, I do think that they're doing this because of how it made Kyler look. And they looking at this, they sit back and they like, bro, we don't want our franchise quarterback to be looked at as a dude who half-ass things, who don't really put in 100% effort. Especially when you got Russell Wilsons of the world running around this motherfucker. And Russ putting in 110%. I know a motherfucker, if you say that around him, he gonna be like, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as 110%. It's 100, and that's it. But we ain't talking about that party pooper right now. But when you got motherfuckers like Russell Wilson's running around the league, you just don't want your quarterback to have this type of image. Okay, so I get it. I do. But I don't agree with it. That could have came out of his contract after... Hell, you could have took the shit out of his contract after 2 or 1 game into the season. I wouldn't agree with that either. But you could have convinced me at all through the offseason. Kyler's shown us that that's not something that we need to have in his contract anymore. He's proven to us that he does everything possible, even when he's not around us, to get better, to make the team better, to make himself better. But to take it out just a week into the... Come on, man. Have a backbone, my guys. But, hey, it is what it is. I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint, man. Tell somebody you fuck with him. Tell somebody you love him. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.